difficulty is the opposite of this game. When it says 3, that really means 0.
Oh, nice combo.
Thank you.
That was a divine knockout. Oh, wait.
Can I try Champs while we...
Oh, the multi-ulti? Oh!
Bada bing, bada boom!
The triple!
Ahoy! What you just saw there is Divine Knockup, a new third-person platform fighting game. So essentially it's like Smash Brothers or Multiverses, but in third person. There are quite a few things that I like about this game, but also some things where there's definitely room for improvement. In case you are not familiar with my Smite content, this game is very, very strongly based on Smite. All of the characters are chibi versions of Smite characters, and there are some abilities that also take inspiration from Smite abilities, even though there are also significant differences. DKO seems to be published by Hi-Rez Studios, but is developed by Redbeard Games, one of the many spin-off studios of Hi-Rez. A key difference is that unlike other Hi-Rez spin-offs, Redbeard actually doesn't operate from the main Hi-Rez office, but operates from Brighton in the UK instead. So in a way, this is a bit of a distant cousin studio, and that is noticeable in some aspects. The first one of those is the current monetization model. I'm not sure if this is related to the so-called founder season that the game is currently in, but it is a launch of the game, this is not a beta. So as of now, you can get DKO for free on Steam, you can just download it. However, this is a temporary thing. So they're calling this a free-to-keep model, where if you claim this early enough, you get it for free, and otherwise you have to buy one of the bundles, it appears. My guess is that after the founder season, it'll probably go free to play for everyone, but I don't know when that ends. The PlayStation version has a free with PS Plus model, and I'm not sure if the Xbox has something comparable, but overall it seems like there are some ways to get the game at least cheaper, but not for free in an unlimited capacity, at least for now. This is relatively atypical for Hi-Rez Studios, who are normally all about having free-to-play games and very accessible deals like the Ultimate God Pack in Smite. I guess in a way you're just paying for early access and understanding that you're maybe not getting the fully finished product. So what do you get at this point? There are 3 different main modes, excluding practice and bot modes. So there is a 3v3 mode that is more casual with fun modes, and a more competitive 2v2 and 1v1 mode. The 3v3 mode has game modes such as King of the Hill, a coin collector mode, and something called Oddball, where you have to hold the crown the longest. While there is a reward tied to killing someone in most of the 3v3 modes, you can also respawn. In the competitive modes, if you die, you're out for the round. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the positive side of things. DKO definitely feels unique. While it takes many elements from other games, the mix is an interesting blend that is extremely action-packed and fast. There is almost no downtime, and even when you die, you very quickly jump back into the action. Attack chains and combos feel satisfying and rewarding to hit, and the damage numbers match the attacks. There are many mechanics taken straight out of traditional platform fighters, such as, for example, spiking enemies down the ledge from above. In the casual modes, the environment also plays a major role and has a massive impact on how a fight can turn around, so that's something to watch out for, which makes matches more interesting. I would also say that the mix of game modes is interesting in general, even though there are obviously some that are less favored by most people, such as the Coin Blitz. Performance and optimization wise, the game does significantly better than its bigger brother Smite, which was a very positive surprise. DKO has a very easy learning curve. You start out just using your basic abilities and using your attacks, and over time you learn how to combo better, how to prevent the enemy from attacking you by countering them, and generally how the more in-depth mechanics work. I wouldn't say that the game has the highest depth of any fighting game by any stretch imaginable, but it also doesn't have to. I would say in many ways it's good and casual fun, even though there are, of course, the sweaty players in 1v1s and 2v2s as well. I just personally think that the competitive side is not quite ready yet, which I'll explain later in this video, so I'm very happy with the more casual side of it. While you can tell that the UI and the input layout is primarily designed for console and for controller, it also plays very well with a keyboard on PC, so if that's your preferred playstyle, you won't have any issues at all. The potential for making big plays is also always right around the corner, and there are so many approaches you can take to that, which is very, very satisfying. Something as simple as baiting an enemy around the corner and then hitting them with a charged heavy attack and knocking them out, or just going into multiple enemies with your fully charged ultimate can massively turn a fight around and feel really, really good. But while I have a lot of good things to say about Divine Knockout, the game is unfortunately most certainly not without flaws. The first thing that personally frustrated me a lot is the amount of target lock-on or magnetism or whatever you want to call it. You'll see it quite well in this clip here. I am aiming away from an enemy, charging an attack, and it still turns my character around to hit that enemy. The target lock-on is extremely strong, and this is something you effectively start using as tech eventually, by charging a heavy tech when an enemy is not even close yet, and predicting that it's going to snap onto someone by the time that the animation of the attack finishes. But it takes a lot of control away from the player. It can be especially frustrating if you are charging an attack and you're aiming at someone, but someone else is closer to you and the attack locks onto them instead. This type of aim assist is likely designed with gamepad in mind first, but still, it just feels too much. Likewise, I'm personally not a fan of the input queuing. This may be a design choice, but I find that quite often an input that you did right after another one will still be executed much later, even though there may have been many things happening in between that may have changed your course of action and you may have already pushed another button. This isn't an uncommon problem, and some games really do this by choice, but I think in a fighting game like this, where you heavily have to respond to what your enemy's doing, it doesn't feel that good. Another problem is the inconsistent region-based matchmaking. While you can choose the region that you queue in, the queue seems to quite easily push you into other regions when no match can be found quickly, resulting in you having to deal with high ping. And we had a lot of matches that had this red indicator on the side telling us that we were the ones on the receiving end of the bad ping. This is obviously especially a problem for smaller regions like Australia, but still, I'd rather sit in queue a little bit longer than play a fighting game of any sort on high ping. What goes hand in hand with that are issues with consistency and hit detection and who hit first and counters. Now, I find it hard to tell if this is a problem of the game and netcode itself, or if this is caused by frequently being put on high ping servers and would otherwise not be a problem, so I can't judge this further, but I did find many occasions where I was very sure that I hit at the same time as the enemy and the enemy still got priority. When it comes to character design, my complaints are twofold. The first one is that I simply don't like the chibi aesthetic because I feel like it looks like a cheap mobile game because of it, and I think it's unnecessary, especially when the Smite models look good by themselves, but that is their design choice, that's what they're going with, whatever. The other one is more fundamental, and that is the character balance. I don't want to talk too much about this because I believe that the game is in a very early state, which makes it very difficult to judge overall balance because a lot of things will still be figured out, a lot of things will be changed. But what I will say at this point frustrates me personally is the abundance of immunities, resistances, and long-lasting counters. I think in a fighting game or platformer, there shouldn't really be any option to make yourself damage or CC immune for an extended period of time. If it's only for very short and a very responsive thing, a counter thing, I'm fine with that, but really anything above 0.5 seconds, in my opinion, shouldn't exist. DKO currently far exceeds that with multiple characters, some of them even have multiple abilities that allow them to do that. Hi-Rez already had this issue with Ultimates and Smite kind of needing CC immunity for the most part to be competitive with other Ultimates that all had CC immunity, so I hope they don't repeat the same mistake. Likewise, it is fairly noticeable that the game modes are currently not balanced yet. On one hand, the casual modes are absolutely not balanced for the characters themselves, because especially characters that can take themselves out of the fight and have big AoEs have significant advantages in multiple of these modes. Likewise, the modes in themselves are not balanced. For example, in the King of the Hill mode, the capture point can spawn essentially right under one of the team's spawns. So they already get a huge point advantage before the other team can even reach them. So there's still a lot to be done in terms of balance. Something entirely different that I definitely need to mention is the character grind. For each level that you level up a character, you get an account level. If you get 10 total account levels, no matter between which characters you leveled up, you unlock a character token to unlock the next character. The next one after that requires you to level up 20 player levels already. So you need a total of 30 character levels to unlock 2 new characters, and after you unlock the first one, you have a total of 5 playable characters. So basically, you need to get everyone to level 5 and then a couple extra level between them to even unlock the next character. But leveling a character up higher also takes longer. So much longer in fact that I haven't even unlocked a second character right now. This is very different from the progression I am used to from Hi-Rez, though I am thinking that this has something to do with them not having a large roster yet and them wanting to monetize what they can right now. I hope they do some adjustments to the monetization in the future, but all in all I do think that DKO is worth giving a shot. My biggest concern is the long-term sustainability of the game. Fighting games are a very difficult market to establish yourself in, and you definitely need to get everything right, unless you want your player base to look like this. Especially once players start learning more advanced combos, it's often very difficult to keep the more casual players reeled in. Divine Knockout comes with some unique approaches to that, and I hope they expand on that. I'll definitely keep an eye on it and see where it goes in the future. If you'd like to stay updated on that or on New World, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell. Thanks for watching, Duke Sloth, out.